In this tutorial, we're going to learn how to make a baby blanket like this one with double crochet and a single crochet too. It's really easy, it's so fun to do, and it creates a really nice, soft, flowing baby blanket. I'm using Lion's brand Feels Like Butter yarn. I find it to be the perfect yarn for baby blankets because it creates this really malleable, soft material. I'm using a 4.5 crochet hook. I like these ones with this soft handle because doing this for hours on end, it just makes it feel a lot more comfortable. I've done a small example here. So this is almost like a swatch of the blanket. You would want it a lot bigger than this for a baby blanket. So I have done a chain of 30 here. So that creates 30 double crochets. You would like probably to do at least triple this. So I tend to do in the realm of 80 to 100 chains when I'm doing the initial foundation chain. Depending on what yarn you use, it will determine how big you want it. So what I tend to do is just make a foundation chain, see how big that feels, and then decide whether I want to do any more or any less. So for this, I did 30, which creates my 30 stitches, but you also then add 2 on top of that, because that counts as your stitch, if you like. So you're going to do 30 plus 2, 60 plus 2, 90 plus 2, 100 plus 2, whichever stitch you get to. I think before I've done 90 with this yarn to do a baby blanket, but you might want to do more. Remember that when we're crocheting, the length is the kind of width. So that's the smallest edge. Now this is a square, so it's not very good representation, but as you're doing stripes, or you might do one color, you're working this way, so it can be longer that way. So when you're doing your chain, that's your shortest edge of your blanket. And then when you're doing your rows, you create the length. Okay, let's get started. So first of all, we're going to make the slip knot. So the easiest way I do it is to wrap it around my fingers, push this short tail through the hole, and then if you hold both of them and just pull the circle like that, and then we can get our crochet hook, put that in, and then tighten it up. We don't want to tighten it around this part of our crochet hook because that's the thinner end. We want to tighten it around the thicker end so that it's not too tight. And you want to be able to move it so it's not pulled really tight, because you're going to have to use that one to make a stitch. So that's quite a good tail length here, so we can weave that back in later on. So we're going to start our chain now. For this swatch, I'm going to do 30. And remember, we always plus 2 for the starting chain because we're going to chain 2 at every row. So always add 2 to your foundation chain. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 30 and then plus 2. So for chaining, all we're going to do is yarn over and pull through. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you notice that when I chain, pull it through, and I always pull it back to the thicker end of the hook because I don't want to do it down here and make it really tight. So you can see the holes on my chain there nicely, which means it's not too tight. So that's 6, 7, 8, putting it back, 9, 10. Now you see mine is curling. I've spoken about this before. It's quite normal, especially when you're using quite thin, finer yarn like this one. So don't worry too much about that. As we add weight onto it, it will straighten out. So that's 10. 29, 30. So that's my 30, and now I'm going to add 2. Okay, so I've got my length, Let's just try and unravel this a little bit for you. So it has already kind of straightened out anyway. So that's my foundation chain. Yours will be a lot longer. And now we're going to do a double crochet in the third chain from the hook. So yarn over. So that's 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, yarn over and go through there. Okay? Grab the yarn, yarn over, 3 loops, pull through 2, push it back to the thick part, yarn over again, pull through 2. So that's our first double crochet. Yarn over, next stitch, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Let me do some a bit closer for you. It is difficult on the starting chain when you've got fine yarn like this to make sure you get the next stitch. And you see it's pulled it quite a lot there. Again, that's quite normal, and don't worry, that will correct itself. So we yarn over for double crochet. The next stitch is not this one because we've already got a stitch in there. It's this next one here. In there, and we yarn over, pull that through, push our 3 loops onto our hook, yarn over, pull through 2 of them, and it's a double, so we go again, we do it twice, yarn over, pull through. Okay, again, let's find our next stitch. So we've got one in there, it's this one here, yarn over this stitch or this part of the chain, pull through, yarn over, pull through just 2 of them, yarn over again and pull through 2. Okay, and this can get twisted and you think, oh my god, where am I? If you just pull along what you've just crocheted, you can unfurl it as such. Okay, and you'll see the bottom ones are kind of twisted like that, and then you can see the top of the chains here. So those are the stitches you want to go in along your foundation chain. So let me do one more. Yarn over, find the next stitch or chain, insert the hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over. I just hold it here as well to just keep that bit of tension there. Yarn over and pull through. What you might notice how I do it, and everyone does it slightly differently. When I am yarning over and about to go in the stitch, I always hold what's on my hook, just because if you don't, it is hard to control it. So yarn over, I'm holding here, then I'm going to find my stitch, push that through, again I'm holding, yarn over, pull through, and when I pull that back to this part of the crochet hook, I'm holding it. If I don't, it all kind of spins around and it's very confusing. So hold it whilst you yarn over, then you hold the yarn, then you pull through your 2, so I'm letting go, then I hold them again, I yarn over, I hold my work, and then I pull through 2 again. Okay, so let me show you again how I hold it. So I'm holding, I'm yarning over, finding my stitch, yarning over, pulling through where I let go, holding it on the hook, I'm yarning over and pulling through 2, I'm holding it, yarning over and pulling through. Okay, so that's the first few. Now meet me back at the end when you've done the rest. So I am almost at the end now of this first row on my foundation chain. So you get to the end here and you can see this is the final stitch, the final part of the foundation chain. Okay, so yarn over. I'm going to go in that final one there. Yarn over, pull that through. Yarn over again, pull through 2. Get that tail out of the way. Yarn over and pull through the final one. So that's it. This is what our foundation chain plus our first row of double crochet looks like. Now mine's obviously going to be very small because I just want to show you a very mini blanket. Okay, hopefully yours looks like that too. Okay, so you see how I dropped my hook there, and you think, how do I get that back in? Which way round? It doesn't really matter too much, but if you pull that one, that's more comes through there like that. That's how you kind of want it, and you can go in from the back there and then pull. Don't pull too tight because we don't want it to be really tight on our hook there, okay? We do want a bit of movement. So we're at the end of our first row. Now what we're going to do is chain 2. So to chain, yarn over, pull through, and I just hold here just to create a little bit of tension. Again, pulling the loop back to the thicker part of my hook, yarn over, pull through again and pull back. So that's 2. And now we're going to turn. So just flip your work that way. And now you have it on this side. Okay, so that's chain 2. That's what you're going to do at every row, at the end of every row. Chain 2 and turn. And now we'll go again. So this time we're going to do a double crochet into the first stitch. Because we're only chaining 2, it won't count as a double crochet. So we need to make sure we put a double crochet in the first space here, and then it will match up with the row below. So we're going to do double crochet here to match this one here. If we skipped, we'd completely miss one out. You may see other patterns where people do chain 3 and miss one, because the chain 3 can count as a double crochet because it's the same height as a double crochet and it kind of fills that space. But like I said earlier, because this yarn is quite fine, it ends up with a gap, and when you're doing your border you can notice there's a bit of a gap at the end of every row. So when I'm using this yarn, I prefer to do chain 2 and then work a double crochet in that first space. So we've yarned over, we're going to go in this first space. Now the difference with this stitch compared to the foundation is you will see the V now. So you see that quite a lot. There's a V and we want to go through both. Okay, so if you went through one, it would look like this. You don't want to see one. What you want to see is the 2. Okay, so you're going to go through 2 at every stitch. So we've gone through 2, we're yarning over again and we're pulling through. Again, push it back onto your hook. So you've now got 3, yarning over, pulling through 2, 2 on the hook, yarning over, pulling through 2. So now we have our first double crochet on that second row. Yarning over, finding the next stitch. So you can see there's a double crochet from the row below. This space here is what you want. You want to go in that space there through both of the V there. So you've got 1, 2. So you're going to go through this space under the V. Yarn over, pull through. So you've got your 3, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so that should look like that. Let me do another. Yarn over, in both, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, I'm just going to do a few slowly so you can watch. yarn over, through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so now our second row is taking shape. What I love about double crochet is it grows so quickly. Even with this fine yarn, you could already see the height. And it's so soft and flimsy, which I think is great for like a baby blanket. You don't want it rigid. This is nice and soft. So keep going. I'll do one more. Yarn over, through the V, pull through, yarn over, pull through. And I'll meet you back at the end of the second row. So I am at the end of my second row now, almost. I'll show you how to do the end. So you can see I've got a few stitches left here. Now to help you work out where you're going to put the stitch. So here's a double crochet here, and here's the next stitch. So let me put that one in. Through the V, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so here we've got a double crochet from the row below, and we've got our chain 2 here. So there is still one more stitch. If we turned now, obviously that's not straight. So over, go through this last stitch, pull through 2. Okay, now that is the end of that row. So this is the chain 2. We don't want to put a stitch in here because, like we said, this isn't counting as a stitch here. So we ignore that bit, okay? And instead, you just chain 2 and turn it around. And now you see it does look quite straight there. And that's the final double crochet there. So chain 2 there, yarn over, and we're going to work in this first space here for our first stitch. So there's the V. Grab the yarn, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's our first one. Second one, here's the space. Pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. If I do one more, just to show you what that end now looks like, there's the space in there. We're going through 2 under 2. Okay. So there's our 3 double crochet, and that is a nice straight line now. Okay. So this one's at the end here, and this is your chain 2. That's your chain 2 from the row below. So it is a bit different because you've got your final stitch here, and there's no kind of chain around this one. It's actually up here to get to the next row. But when you have it flat and you've got multiple rows, this will be nice and straight going all the way up. If it isn't, it might be that you've added one more double crochet than you needed, or you've missed a stitch. So just kind of go back and count and make sure you haven't missed one. I'll meet you back for the other row change. So we're at the end of this row. We've got this funny lumpy bit, which means we've still got one more double crochet to do. But I've actually decided to change colour here and start with this grey colour for my next few rows. So for this baby blanket, and I think it's really nice for baby blankets, is to have different colours. So this is just going to be another colour, and I'm going to show you how to start your next row with a new colour. You're going to first start your double crochet, the final one, but you're not going to finish it completely. So yarn over, we're going to find this last stitch here, go in there, yarn over, pull through the first part, and then before we do the last one, like this, we're not going to pull through there, okay? So let me just pull that back. You can pick up stitches if you go wrong, so that's just picking up the last part. So normally we would yarn over and pull through for this colour, but I'm going to change. So find your end of your new colour. This is your short end here. We want about probably this much left over, a few inches. Place that over the top, hold that piece there, like this. So almost as if it's the old colour and we've yarned over for the final part of our double crochet, okay? So pretend you've just yarned over with that one, and you're going to pull this one through here to finish the stitch. So here's your old one down here. This is your new one. So you can pull this one gently, just to secure it, and then you can find your end. That's not the tail, so that tail can dangle down there, and you can pull this one gently as well. So that's it now finished. It is a bit loose at the moment, but we can sort that with the ends. So you've kind of done the final yarn over and pull through with the new one. And now we're going to chain 2. So yarn over, hold my work because it is loose at the moment, pull through 1, chain again. Okay, so now you've chained 2, and now we turn. And at this point you can cut off this end. Okay, so now I've got my tail from the chain at the bottom, and now I've got my 2 tails here. So you've chained 2 and you've turned and you're ready to go again. Now what you can do if you want to weave in this end here, just so you've got one less tail to sort out at the end. I'll show you how to do that, okay? So we've chained 2, we've turned, and now we're going to do double crochet with this new colour. So yarn over. This is our first stitch here, but if you want to weave this in, hold this one up, and you're going to go underneath this tail the whole way along until it kind of finishes. Okay, so we've yarned over. This is our stitch here. Pull this bit up, kind of hold it in there. You're going to go underneath it through your V, if you can see that there. Yarn over, pull through. Again, you're underneath. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. So now you can kind of see it's hidden slightly in there. So it works quite well. So it's just one less tail to work through at the end. So again, yarn over. This is your stitch here. This is your tail, and you're going to go underneath it. So it's kind of just hovering in the middle. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through your final 2. Again, see, it's kind of going underneath. It's almost the stitch is acting like a bridge or something, and it's underneath it. Again, yarn over. This is our stitch. Pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple more just to show you. Oh, you see how I've gone wrong there? I've only gone through 1. That's the second one there. So I just need to come back and go through the 2 to make sure I go through the V. Sometimes we make mistakes. Okay, so back where I was. Yarn over, pull through. And the tail still underneath. Okay, keep going. You can always cut this tail short as well. You don't have to have it going all the way, but actually the more the better really, because then you know it's quite secure. Okay, so that's that first row of our new colour. It's quite nice, this grey with the pink here. And then you can tighten this slightly if you want to. And then later on we will push this one in as well to hide it. Okay, and then just doing exactly the same thing you did until you want to change colour again. So this was 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 rows of pink. So therefore I will do 3 rows of the grey and then change again. You could go back. I could go back to pink, or I'm actually going to go a nice blue as well. So let me do my 3 rows of grey and I'll come back and show you my change to blue, just to show you that change again. So I am at the end of my 3rd grey row. It's coming together nicely. So this is now 6 rows and it's grown quite well. So at the end of this one, we're going to swap colours again because I'm doing 3 rows for each colour. So again, we've got a lump. So that means we've got 1 more stitch and we're going to change colour halfway through this stitch. So yarn over, find that last one, just in here, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through this first part, stop there. So we normally just yarn over, pull through, but we're going to do that, complete the stitch with this blue colour. So you lay that on the top there as a tail. So pretend that's our yarn over and then pull through the last part. Okay, so pull that grey one just slightly, pull those blue ones together. If you pull them both together, it just kind of slides it along and then it's a bit tighter there. So kind of separate the tail there because we only want to work with this piece here. So yarn over, chain. So we're going to chain 2. So that's 1 chain, 2 chain, and then turn. Now let's do some snipping of our grey end here, because again we're going to weave this in to show you. So I'm going to snip that about there. Okay, so yarn over, where's the first stitch? It's here because we're always working that first stitch of the row. So put that blue one above it again because we're going underneath it. So yarn over, I'm going to go under here. Looks a bit confusing. There's the V there. The blue's on top. Pull through. And we've got our 3 loops. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, first stitch, and the blue is just hiding under there now. Yarn over, keep it above. There's our stitch. So we're going to go in there. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through 2. Pull through 2. So I'm going to do this to show you how it looks at the end. I didn't for the last row. Okay, so you see this is the end. Sometimes it gets a bit fiddly because I can't really hold that end very well. So you kind of just lose it, which is fine. Where's it gone? Here. So if I keep going, one more. So what happens here, can you see that's now just sticking out? So it didn't quite go through that one very well. So what you can do instead is cut it, or we can come back later on and thread it through again, which I might do, because that actually is quite loose in there. You can kind of see it all the way along, can't you? So what I will do at the end, and I'll show you, is I'll get my tapestry needle and I'll actually thread it through the rows up here a bit more, because when you push it through like these stitches, it's a bit more secure. So what I will show you now is if you drop a stitch, so like this is a bit of a mess, if you drop it and you think, God, what have I done? The best thing to do is just pull out that stitch completely and start again. So pull that one out completely and just start again. So there's our loop. Let's just start from there. Because once you drop it, it is then hard to pick it up. So it's better just to pull it out and start again that stitch. And I'm ignoring this tail now. We can sort that out later. Okay, so yarn over, this is our stitch. Okay, so if you drop it, let's try again. If I just go, I drop it there like that, you think, right, you could try and get that hook there. Sometimes I do, I could pick it up like that. But if that's a bit confusing, just pull it out and you go back to the double crochet before and you just start again. It is much easier doing it that way. Okay, so now we've got our, it looks a bit like an ice cream. We've got our pink, our grey, and now this blue here. So keep going, as many rows as you like. What I tend to do is make my blanket, just lay it out and see how big it is and see how much bigger I want it to be. When you have it, it will actually be kind of the other way around. So this is the width of it, and then your stripes will be the length of it. So just think how long you want that to be for your baby. I'm going to do my 3 rows of blue, and then I'm going to repeat this 3 more times. So I'll have pink, grey, blue, pink, grey, blue. So that will probably end up being about a square, I'd say. And then that will be me complete of my blanket, just so I can show you how we weave our ends in and then how we do an edging. So the next bit will be me finishing my colours and how to end your blanket and then do the edging. So I've now finished my rows of my blanket. So this is my finished rows now. If you're at the end, you finished, it's the length you want it, this is what you'll do. So I've completed the final double crochet of my row here. So that's it complete. And to finish off, you're just going to do 1 chain like this, and then you're going to cut the end. And then you're going to pull this one through. Pull that through, and then you're just going to tighten that. And it knots itself, so that won't come undone now. Okay, so now that's it, it's finished, all the rows. So before we start on the border, what we need to do is put all these ends, tuck them in, thread them through, and I'm going to show you how we do that. Let's start with the one at the top, the last one we've done here. So I've got myself a tapestry embroidery needle here, or blunt needle. So as you can see at the end, it is blunt, it's not sharp, and it's got a wide eye here so you can thread through your yarn. So it's pretty simple this, so you just have to thread it through. And I just got these off Amazon, by the way, a pack of like 5 or something. So you're just going to thread it through, and what you want to do is just thread this through kind of a few times in the colour you've just done. So I kind of go down the stitch that we've just done a few times, and you can kind of go across. I might go through here and then come out here next. When it feels a bit tight like that one, that's quite good, because then you know it's gone in nicely. So just kind of keep going until you think that's kind of enough. So I might leave it like that, and see it's come off naturally there. So I'll finish that one. And then once you've done that, you just cut that one off there. So I kind of pull slightly and then cut my end. And then, oh, I can't even find where it's gone now. It's already hidden itself. And then once you pull and stretch it, it's just hidden now. So it's in there. And that's that. So that's the first one. Let's pick another one. Let's do this little blue one. Sometimes if you haven't got a long enough tail, you have to just thread this through first and then push the yarn through. But this one should be long enough. So we just put this one through. It's a bit jaggedy, the edge there. Okay, so threaded it through the needle. Now we can thread it through the work. So I'll just start here and go through there, and then I'm going to go down the stitch and along this line because I find that it's more secure and you can't see it as much along that line there. So going along here now, just weaving it through to make sure that's going to be secure and not come out. Okay, so just pull that through and then stretch it out, and then that should be enough. So I'll just cut that one off there in a bit. So just pull it a little bit and cut that one off shortly. So yeah, that's how we weave the edges in. I'm also going to show you how to weave in the bits that didn't work quite so well. So like this one here, we're going to thread through. So in order to do that, we just need to pull it out slightly because we want to redo it. So just kind of gently unpick it. Now this one is a short one, so I'm going to weave first and then push the yarn through the needle. So just to go through whatever you think is kind of best, and then you can just thread that through and pull it. And that's kind of slightly better because it's gone down the stitch there. I might just do slightly more on the edging here. Really short this one now. There we go. Just pull. There we go. So that's much better. And I can just pull, and that is hidden completely now. So that's how we do the ones that kind of you see are puckering up. Just unpick and then re-weave them. We've finished weaving our ends in, and now we're going to do the edges. So in order to do that, what we first want to do is a single crochet all the way around the perimeter before we do the double crochet. It just then creates your spaces for your double crochet stitches, because on this end you've got lovely places to go, stitches, whereas this end it's not so easy. So in order to make it kind of neater, we're going to do a single crochet and we're just going to space them out evenly along this back kind of line here. So to start off then, let me start up here somewhere. We're going to find somewhere to go, so I'm just going to go in here. And we're going to lay that across. This is a bit like changing the colour. Lay that across. Pull that through. And then I'm trying to find the tail. There's the tail. Get rid of that. We're going to do chain 2. Okay. And then we're going to find the next space. And instead of yarning over, so this is a single crochet now, we're just going to go in, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. So that's a single crochet. Okay, so sorry, I've got cat hair everywhere. So the next one will be in here. In this space is a good one. So in, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops. And you can see I am kind of just going randomly, okay? So in here, pull through both, yarn over, pull through both, yarn over, pull through. So single crochet is nice and quick. So this is just going to be our edging all the way around. I'll show you what happens when we get to the corner in a minute. Okay, so we're going to do single crochet like this all the way around. I'll meet you at the corner and I'll show you what we need to do. So I've got to the corner now, and I need to work out how to make sure this doesn't curl. So if you just did one stitch and then carried on, this bit will kind of pucker and you'll end up with it curling. So what you need to do is add some additional stitches. So we're going to add 2 into this part here. So I'm going to go in here, do a single crochet, and then I'm going to add another one in that same space. That's 2 in there. Then I'm going to add 2 in this little space here. So it is quite tight and a bit fiddly. So that's 2. And it is a bit of trial and error. You kind of just carry on and see what it looks like. So if I then go in here, see what that one looks like, and kind of keep going just to see what the corner would be like now. So that looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm happy that that's got a nice curve now and it's not pulling, it's lying flat. So we can continue along here until the end. So just for, this is the foundation chain. So it's fairly easy. You can find the kind of gaps before the stitches. So just under here, it looks quite thin, the bit you're going under. So if that's the double crochet, it's just above it there. Like that. Sorry, it's quite difficult to show you. See how it's coming through just underneath there. Okay, so just above the double crochet, you kind of want to do it just above each one. And then you've got a nice even spacing all the way along of your single crochets. So just above there. Like that. And I'll meet you at this corner again. Okay, so back onto the next corner now. So I've done this section here, so it's nice and straight now. We'll get to this corner and see what we can do here. So again, we're going to add more stitches. So in that one I've just done there, I think I'm actually going to add 3 directly into that one because it's kind of, oops, look, I'm about to do a double crochet there. So single, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that is 3 in there. And let me just see what happens if I turn. I might still need to do additional on this part here actually. So I'm kind of just feeling my way. If I do 2 in that one, let me see. Is that better? Again, kind of keep going to just see what that will look like for you. Yarn over, pull through. Okay, how does that look? I might even go more than that actually, because that still looks like it might need another stitch. It's not quite flat. You see how it's pulling up there? So I think I need to go back and add another one in there. So we just pull back like that. Let's add in some more. So 2 in there. One along here. And then 1 in there. This is the problem when you work with very fine yarn, it can be quite challenging. Is that better? That's better. Now, we've got a nice edge there now, and that's lying flat. Okay, so that's better. And again, with this one, we're on the edge here, so we just have to kind of evenly space them out. So find an area here, single crochet, in that double crochet. So I don't want to go by one piece there. I want to find two. So I want to find another piece behind it. There we go. It just adds a bit more support. Like that. You see how I've just gone in one piece there, and it just pulls it up and creates a bit of a loop. So I'm going to pull that one out. Start again, put my crochet hook in there. And I want to go under both of these two pieces here. And there. And now that's a bit more secure. So this is how you do it when you're creating your own edge. Okay, so that looks a bit better there now. So we've got our nice corner and we've got our edge. So we can continue on to this corner now. Another corner here. So we're going to go into this stitch here, and I'm going to add 2 single crochets, 1, 2, and then I'm going to add 2 into here, 1, 2. Sorry if I'm doing this very quick. So I've gone 2 into that one, 2 into this one, and now we're on to the row of double crochet here, so it's a lot easier to find where to put your stitch. So this first double crochet top here, so that's looking pretty good there, a nice single crochet line. Let's do a couple more. So in, yarn over, pull through 2 into this stitch. So this is like what we were doing for every other row now. Instead of double, we're doing a single. In, yarn over, pull through, pull up. So there we go. That's our corner. And then we'll keep going until we meet the edge. So again, another corner, and then we're going to meet back when we meet the end or where we started. Okay, so I've gone round this last corner and I'm about to meet where I started. So in order to get to the end and start your double crochet line, you're going to continue till you're right at the end. So I need to do one more single crochet here. Now, instead of doing a single crochet at the end, you're going to do a slip stitch. So we're going to go in to where we started. So that was our chain 1. I'm going to go in there, pull up a loop, put it through, and then just pull that directly through. Okay, so now we've joined on, and now we can just start our double crochet row. We need to chain 3. So it's not like chaining 2 when you are changing rows. We actually need this to act as a stitch. So we need to chain 3. So that's chain 3, and then that is effectively a double crochet for that stitch. So then we don't do one in here, we do one in this next one here. Yarn over, through there, pull through 2, pull through 2. Now the good thing is we've now got our stitches, so it's much easier to find where we're going because we did that single crochet round. So the next stitch here, we've got 1 in there, so now it's in this one. Pull through 2, pull through 2. And you can keep going around the whole piece. And it's much easier now because we know which stitch to put in. Okay, so that's our double crochet. I'll show you how to do a corner when you get there. So I'll meet you at the corner. We're at the corner now for the double crochets. So again, we're going to add more stitches. So this is the exact corner one there, I would say. So I'm going to do one more just in this one. And then for this corner piece, I'm going to add 4 double crochets into the same stitch. So this stitch here, I'm going to add 4. So let's do 1. Another one, so that's 2. double crochets, another one, 3. You might think, God, this is not going to fit, but it does. 4. Because it's double crochet, you just need more of them to be able to go around the corner. So we can now turn it, because we're kind of working this way now. And you can see it's still not quite a corner. So for this next one, I'm going to add 2. So 1 double crochet and another one in that same stitch. Okay, so that's 2. Now let's see how that looks if we add some more along here to see what that looks like for the final time before placing it down, to just see how it looks lying flat. Okay, so that looks good to me there. So we've got a nice edge coming along here. We've now got our corner piece, and that has now matched nicely, and we can continue along here. And now every corner will be the same as this one, because it's exactly the same. It's had the single crochet all the way around. So when you get to the corner, identify your cornermost stitch, add 4 into the corner, the next stitch add 2, and then keep going. Okay, so I've worked the double crochet all the way around. I've done the final corner, and I've arrived at where I started. So that is my chain 3 acting as a double crochet there. In order to join these two together, we're going to do an invisible join. We can't do a slip stitch and a single crochet like before, because otherwise you end up with a hump here. We want this to join invisibly, basically. So the way you do that is you need to cut this off, and we're going to use our tapestry needle again. So I'm going to cut this one off here. And then you want to pull this all the way through, so completely out. Now, we're going to identify the first kind of V or stitch on this one here. So that is here. And what we want to do is first thread our needle. We've found this stitch here. Now we want to go through the whole thing like that, just like we would doing a crochet stitch. So we go all the way through, and then we want to go in just the back loop of this one. So we've come from here, we want to go just in the back loop there, like this. And we can pull that across there. And then you can already forget kind of where that is. And it creates this loop or stitch just like the others. So already we've kind of lost where that went. So I can kind of see, I think that's the chain there. So yeah, it's pretty good. And then what we do is we just weave this through, just like we've done any of the other stitches. And when we're weaving this one in, I want to make sure this one is definitely tight, because it is a kind of a loose stitch. So let me find something that's kind of tight to begin with, so that when it's finished, it is really secure and it's not going to slip out of anywhere. So you see how that's quite a pull to go through there. I know that's quite tight, which is good. It means that stitch will kind of stay in there. And then we have it. So I can cut that one off. I've got one more here I just need to thread through. I am then done. So that's it. The baby blanket's done. Hopefully you enjoyed that and it was helpful, especially if you're a beginner. Please do like this video and leave any comments for me, and do subscribe to my channel for any future videos. See you soon!